All right, folks, ladies and gentlemen, Happy New Year 2025. Our first one here, Nelson Torres, along with Angelo, Razorblade, Vega. And he's the Universal Champion and the Rise to the Top briefcase holder.
And the only icon of WTF.
All right. So
even though a lot of you smartasses get sick of it, but you know what? I could give a flying fuck what you think.
And on that note, WTF Wrestling starts now. All right, folks. Nelson Torres here. All new episode of Wrestling Outlaws is here. Episode 54.
54.
Since what? 2003?
Well, even though we've been on for 30 years.
Well, it's different shows. You know what I mean? So that's a whole different
This
thing.
is technically the season premiere.
Something like that, yes. Nelson Torres this week, as always, ladies and gentlemen. Joining along with us, of course, is Angelo Razorblade Vega, the WTF Universal Champion, Angelo Razorblade Vega.
How you doing, everybody? We finally made it to 2025. And you see, I kept my word. I said 2 weeks ago, we'd be back. And we're back.
Yeah, so we're just gonna do a lot of talking. So if it's not your thing, just tune in next week or two and we'll bring you some wrestling.
But no, don't say that.
Why?
Because tonight, once and for all, a lot of things will be clarified about the whole WTF Wrestling timeline.
So that's the discussion for tonight.
Along with how IWW came about, AIWA, World Wrestling Union, and every location we have ever wrestled and places we have been to will all be given to you in full detail tonight.
Yeah, for those who don't know, it's the 30th anniversary of WTF Wrestling this year. We're going to unveil a logo in just a little bit. And I figured, you know what I should say, because I know we've been talking about this. You know, there's some people that may or may not know too much about the history, and people like to give their perspective, which is fine, fan and dandy. But my thing is, it's time for me to, give my perspective of the last 30 years of how we came to this today, and also WTF TV along with it as well.
But see, Nelson, what gets me aggravated sometimes is the fact is you have been here since the very, very, very beginning. Along with myself and guys like TJ the Game Master, Jason the Cutisis, Will the Heartbreaker, BG the Broadcaster. I just basically mentioned all the WTF originals who have been here since the beginning. Everybody else is on doing their own thing. But as you can see, Nelson's still here and I'm still here. And we are going to clarify everything tonight.
And just keep an eye, as I mentioned earlier, it is the 30th anniversary, which, by the way, this coming Tuesday is the 30th anniversary episode of WTF TV. And don't miss that, because we have tons of stuff to show you of the past stuff from WTF TV for the last 30 years. We're going to get to WTF 30th anniversary this year, somewhere this year. We want to get a reunion of not just you, but TJ the Game Master, Jason the Cutisis, and Will the Heartbreaker, which is going to seem like it's a little bit of a hard to do, and BG along as well. We want that.
Well, BG has been on recently.
Yeah, he was at the New Year's episode, but he's also coming up for the WTF episode coming this Tuesday. So don't miss that on 11 p.m. on Channel 34.
And I still remember way back then when I first became the WTF World's Heavyweight Champion. BG actually was one of the first people in the ring with me when it happened
Right.
to celebrate and congratulate. So, yes, whether you like it or not, BG is a very vital figure here in WTF.
Yes. So as I mentioned, don't miss it this Tuesday. Um, if you're a big WTF fan, you don't want to miss that. This Tuesday night, 11 p.m. And also it'll be streaming on YouTube as well, among other places, including Rumble. So make sure you follow us there. That's the first thing. Now, as we talked about a little while ago, to get into the timeline, if you will, as some of you may know, WTF started in 1994 as a different variety show at the time. Didn't start with wrestling just yet.
Yes, you hear what he's saying? This is why certain people who we deal with, they need to know all the real, true facts.
Exactly.
From what I remember, I used to watch the show a little bit before I entered the show. And I can tell you what it is. Nelson gave you wrestling news of pay-per-views and results and comedy skits and comedy clips were in the show.
Yeah, we did a lot of comedy clips, and then BG did come in later because he did his own thing called BG the broadcast, BG on the spot. This was
And TJ had the world of video games.
Well, that was a little later.
But still, it's within the WTF archives.
All right, within the WTF family, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But we, when TJ came on, that was till like 1995, along with the Cutises. I met them actually at a MS Madison Square Garden WWE house show at the time.
And that, what he just explained, is where the WTF Wrestling started to be born. Yeah. You know why? You know why?
Why?
Because people used to have wrestling matches in the back of the garden.
Mm-hmm. It kind of started there.
Yeah. Like street brawls. It brewed from Madison Square Garden. Yeah. And you filmed some of them.
Yeah.
I was in some of them. Do you remember the one? Everybody was wearing that red Shawn Michaels t-shirt and nobody knew who the fuck was who. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, but that was when you were able to do crazy shit at the back of the Madison Square Garden.
Can't do that no more.
Yeah, if you're familiar, those who go to those WWE house shows or the Garden in general, and they have people waiting outside for those wrestlers to sign autographs and take pictures and whatnot. Back then, we were, besides doing that, we were also wrestling back then, and not many people said anything at the time. Obviously, today you can't do that now. It's a whole different world. Especially,
well, can we speak the obvious fact?
What?
We started wrestling, like he said, in the back of the garden. But then it turned into brawls in the park. And then what kind of started making us well known was the wrestling matches at the beaches.
Talking about the Brighton Beach.
Brighton Beach was like nothing ever
been done.
Yes, it was just, I'm smiling because it was good times back then. However, not too long after that, we came into contact with certain people. And where did we wind up? Gleason's gym.
Yes. We met
met Johnny Rods. Mm-hmm. Spoke with him. Very nice man. We also had a few training lessons so we can get in ring shape. So yeah, as far as when the wrestling started in a ring, it was at Gleason's gym in Johnny Rod's wrestling school.
You want to hear something funny about that? Not too long ago, and I still thinking about this too. I don't know if how you guys feel about this, you guys who are watching this or even listening to this anywhere, but I had a crazy idea about doing at least one set of matches at Gleason's gym, even recently, just for nostalgia purposes.
Well,
I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
there's
but,
one way it can happen.
And how is that?
We are still in contact with Mr. Rods.
And I don't know if he's down with that, but
we would have to maybe set up a meeting.
I mean, it'll be just a one
for
time,
nostalgia purposes only.
And we will do it one time. I don't mind doing it since it's 1995, which is 2025 now, 30 years later.
It's kind of, we want to come full circle where it all began.
If you guys think it's a good idea, let me know. That's just an idea that I have brewing in my mind.
Okay, so with that being said, can the timeline now begin?
Sure.
So we can explain it. Because people probably wondering, oh, if you were in Johnny Rod's, what happened? Why you not wrestling there no more? Well, you really want to know what happened, folks?
He wants to explain it.
And you know this is kind of funny. All right? We at least was filming there for a good 6 months to a year, right?
Something like that. More like 6 months.
Something to that degree. However, somebody that we know, we're not going to throw him under the bus. But when this story is told, they're gonna know who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Some jackhole who was involved with us, okay, for some weird reason, like a fucking 12-year-old, he was excited during a tag team match, and he was jumping up and down on the bottom turnbuckle.
Right.
And what did we hear? It snapped.
You said that the rope snapped.
Remember, it broke.
Right.
The turnbuckle broke. And the next time Johnny Rods came in to his gym, his ring, he already knew it had something to do with one of us. So he kind of got upset. But he saw we had potential. So he sent us to Pedro's in Arena, Puerto Rico.
Yeah, in Brooklyn.
Still Brooklyn.
But it was in Bedford-Stuyvesant, by the way.
Yes. And that is where the serious training and wrestling matches begin. This is where we met Homicide, wrestling New York legend Homicide, Lathon, another New York wrestling legend, Suicide. These are the three men. And Coco, remember Coco?
Oh, I forgot that. How can I forget him? How can I forget a name like that?
These four gentlemen, along with Pedro, whose favorite words was, "You time finish?"
Or "You're fucking stupid."
You fucking stupid.
And to this day, we don't know what happened to Pedro right now.
Yeah, but we will get into that in a minute. But don't forget, if he's watching, the legendary moment with Homicide. There was a time Homicide became tag team champion.
Mm-hmm.
Pedro got upset. We didn't have these type of belts. Everything back then was like homemade cardboard or like...
Yeah, that was a different time.
It was a different time where we
were
had
young. We were teenagers.
Yes,
come on.
We were doing it for fun. Yes, and I'll admit it, a lot of us was kind of marks where I thought I was fucking Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels and all these people, but we were kids back then. So, long story short, Pedro got mad at Homicide about, in Spanish, why did you win this tag team belt? And Homicide said the funniest thing you would ever hear. Pero Pedro, mira, esto es un mierda de fucking cardboard.
Yes, I remember that.
There was so much funny shit, but also the thing that kind of ended Pedro's. But we'll get to that in a minute. But like I said, we went from Gleason's gym to Arena, Puerto Rico.
Yeah, so in Arena, Puerto Rico, that's where we did most of the WTF
yes.
as well, too. We did a few WTF matches there. However, as you mentioned, we did a handful, but that's when also around this time, and this is where it gets interesting.
From 95 to late 96. That's 2 full years, okay?
Actually, we did not get into Arena PR until early 1996. Just thought I mentioned that.
Yeah, but okay, you know what it is? I got confused with what is the next chapter. So he's right. That whole year of 96, we were wrestling at Arena Puerto Rico. However, we're going to just say the true facts of something that happened.
Yeah.
There was I'm not going to say the names either, but the smart people who dealt with us know what I'm about to talk about.
Yeah, but before anything, there's some people think that, oh, I was there. Yeah.
Yeah, you was there. No, you wasn't there. You wasn't there.
Wait, relax.
To the ones who said you was there, you was not there, and you don't know the fact what happened. So let me get to the point.
Well, because look, this is what I mentioned earlier in the show. People give their perspective, their stories. This is our chance to give ours.
I know. This is why we're clarifying the truth. So, in late 96, correct?
Yes. Well, mid 96, I would say.
Something happened between 3 individuals on WTF.
Mm-hmm.
2 guys and a girl. And let's just say, because of that love triangle, WTF had a pause. And it just stopped.
Well,
because of that bullshit. And that is the fucking honest truth of how WTF stopped in the first place.
So let me just clarify that. Yes, there was what you call a love triangle, and people would choose
real life, not wrestling stuff.
Yeah, but there were people taking sides.
People chose sides, which made it worse. Go ahead.
But so when people were choosing sides, and that's when they say WTF broke up at the time.
Yes.
In mid 1996.
However,
but plus there was, not to mention that there was creative differences between me and the current the booker at that time. And some people may know who I'm talking about at that time. But however, there was creative differences. But then it also combined with the love triangle you mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's why WTF broke up at the time.
So then, when that happened, it was just very awkward and weird.
Mm-hmm.
So like he explained, people chose sides. Some went to go create AIWA, which was Heartbreak Khan, Miguel the Havoc, rest in peace, and Mark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
But myself, Low Life Louie, I know you're watching, my mentor, and Nelson, we created IWW. Right. We are the founding fathers of IWW. And who came out of IWW and is in the big time now? Low-Key, Monster Mac, Homicide also. Anybody you see doing big things, really, really big things now, they all were spawned from IWW. Even Eddie Kingston.
Yes, that is true. That is a fun fact.
But here's the other fun fact. Even though people made their own feds, we were all still going to Arena Puerto Rico.
Yes.
So Pedro was still making his money regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Now he had 2 groups of young, hungry wrestlers going to his gym, training and learning and doing shows. And we also did shows for Arena Puerto Rico itself.
Yeah, when they had it in the not in the basement.
In the gym downstairs.
The gym. It was like lower downstairs. It felt like the basement, but it was actually the gym. And
but which brings me to, well, I don't think we're up to that part yet.
Well, what's the part you're talking about?
We're not up to that part yet. But every time I think about that gym, you know what comes to my mind.
Well,
but we'll get to that in a second. So, how long was IWW in existence again?
If I remember correctly.
From 97 to what?
Actually, 96 into 1999, I want to say.
Okay.
Ballpark, give or take.
96, 97, 4 years IWW was going strong. But next to it was AIWA. But I still can't remember what exactly happened.
Mhm.
IWW then just
Just just
folded, but then a lot of people went to go do their own thing. Then also, but we're not going to mention the incident. We know something about it.
That had nothing to do with me.
Nothing to do with him because he was IWW and I was IWW. AIWA had a money incident with an individual. And that's what broke them up, and that's how that folded. However, Mark Knight with Ephraim, you know what I'm talking about?
Mr. Guzman.
Yeah, Mr. Guzman. They made World Wrestling Union.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how that stopped, but I remember when that stopped, I remember you made the decision to just bring back WTF Wrestling.
Yeah,
and you called it WTF 2000.
Yeah, you're right. It was back in 1999. I decided to call it WTF 2000
because we were headed to the year 2000.
That, and I think at the time the year 2000 sounded so cool,
and it was like a big deal.
Yes, exactly. So
what happened then? How long until that unfortunate thing that happened? You know what I'm talking about.
Well, there wasn't
with GQ.
Well, I can tell you this. There was an incident where, let's just say, Arena PR closed its shop because that one incident where the kid,
he did.
Well, you want to explain this?
Okay, but what year was it?
This was 2001.
So WTF 2000 lasted 2 years still in Arena Puerto Rico.
Correct.
Okay, so in 2001, unfortunately, GQ, and this is weird because earlier in the day, he was practicing that move and did it fine.
Mm-hmm.
But then Arena PR had a show that night. GQ had a match. So he did the shooting star press. This is the move we're talking about. But for some weird reason, he didn't accomplish it and he broke his neck. And who got in trouble? Not me, not you. It was Pedro.
See,
so Arena PR, because of that, they had to shut down.
So, and that's when.
But that church is still there, right?
Yes, but that's where we went to. Let's fast forward this straight to the LIWR,
yes.
LIWF. Excuse me.
From there, we went to the Doghouse LIWF,
yes.
which Lathon, my other teacher, created and built his wrestling school.
Yes, we were there at the Doghouse for a little bit.
Yes.
But
it was WTF and LIWF doing mixed stuff together at Lathon's.
But there were various reasons why it closed down, but not too much I can think of.
To this day, I can't remember why.
No. They had to move out of that building. That's what I remember. And they went to a new building, and they were shut down too as well. But that wasn't anything negative. That was just whole building issues.
But I do remember from there, we went to Gladiators Gym to continue WTF Wrestling.
But we also went to Taino Towers.
Yes. It was a mix of both. We were doing Gladiators Gym, but also having at the time, what was his name? Serengio?
Yeah.
He was supplying the wrestling ring that he brought to Taino Towers in the east side. And you know what? I miss Taino Towers. We did a lot of shows there with big crowds and everything.
Well, if we ever do one, we could probably do it one day. We'll never know.
Yeah, you never know. But then I remember there was something which I still can't put my finger on about why the Taino Towers era ended.
Now, that's a whole nother can of worms altogether.
But from Taino Towers, we met Mike Morgan and his Ace Arena. But at the same time, we were also doing block parties
Yeah.
mixed with the Mike Morgan. I'm going to call it the Mike Morgan era since
Yeah.
we went to his arena.
Yeah.
And we went to both his arenas, his first one and then his updated one.
Right. So, with that, before we go,
And what year was that?
that was like 2008, 2009 till like 2011 or 20.
The only thing I remember is in 2010 is where we did our last show at Mike Morgan's.
Right.
And then I don't know if you remember this, Nelson. You did put the wrestling in a little break.
Wow. But that was a whole different conversation.
And it came back in
2015. And then
and from 2015 till
now.
Well, actually, no. Remember, 2015 till the stupid pandemic.
But we were still wrestling.
Yes, but I was not around during the pandemic because, truth be told, a personal issue happened with Big Time Jack Off. And also with the COVID thing, I admit it, I didn't want to get sick. I didn't want to be around nobody.
All right. So, but then we have to end it from here because right now we're about to wrap up. And
so long story short, we still fought through the pandemic. And now we're here, still going strong. And we wrestle at the WWX arena. And also, what's the name of this one again?
ECPW.
ECPW.
Yeah, we do that time to time.
So those are our locations as of right now.
Exactly.
So there you have the whole timeline.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we have to really wrap this up. So we could continue this probably maybe next week if you guys want to hear more. But before we go,
there's nothing more to hear. That's the whole timeline.
Yeah, but you never know. Some people might have different opinions. But anyway, we're about to wrap this up. Before we go anywhere, anything you want to say? But you got to make it quick.
Well, now that we got the timeline out the way, don't forget Ace Bradley. Like Pedro used to say, your time finish with that tag team fucking championship. Soon as I get my partner, I'm coming back for that shit that you fucking stole from me.
And let's not forget, our new WTF 30th anniversary WTF Wrestling logo is here and ready to shoot. If you can see it now, it looks great. There you go.
The big 30 on it.
There you go.
It looks like, well, not really looks like, but similar to the one you just had for regular WTF.
Yes, but there's more to come with that. So with that, we'll see you guys next time in an all-new episode of WTF Wrestling. Thank you for Angelo for making this possible because you're here in your place. So with that, once again, we'll see you guys next week in an all-new episode of WTF Wrestling.
Hope we clarified everything.